Welcome or welcome back to the Tarp Sports YouTube podcast, whatever you're listening on. This is Tarp Sports interview with Christian Natividad. He is an absolute stud man, 9-0 on the regional scene. There is no doubt in my mind he will be in the UFC very soon. This was my first interview on Tarp Sports. Let me know how I did, guys. Feedback, positive or negative, is extremely helpful. So things I could be doing better, please let me know. Other than that, guys, let's get to know my friend Christian Natividad. Welcome or welcome back to the Tarp Sports YouTube podcast, whatever you're listening on. I am joined by an absolute killer today, one of the hottest names on the regional scene, 9-0 professional, Christian Natividad. How are you, my friend?
What's up, brother? I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, man?
Good, I can't complain. Finally got some good weather here in Philly. Man, it's an honor to interview you, man. I watched some of your most recent fights. I've been really getting into the regional scene. I've been a UFC fan for long, but I really want to expand in my horizons. And like I said in the intro, man, you're one of the hottest names right now, coming off of that dominant win, man, and you looked very good. And one thing that I really noticed in that fight, well, first off, the walk to the cage, you looked extremely calm and just composed. Not that your opponent wasn't, but in comparison, I mean, you just looked way more confident, I guess, or composed. Was that come from experience? Is that just confidence in your skill? Is what does that come from?
It's a mixture of everything. So obviously, the more that you do it, the more comfortable that you'll get. So that does play a huge role. But also, just it's a product of hard work. Like if I go into the cage and I'm not confident with the work that I put in, then of course you'll be able to see those nerves like on my face as I walk to the cage. But throughout my 6 week camp, we've hustled hard, had a lot of sparring rounds, had a lot of rounds that didn't go my way, but that's how you know where I'm at, where I'm supposed to be, because I have training partners that are pushing me on a daily basis. And what's crazy too, man, is just 2 days before the fight, I remember I was driving home with my fiance and we are talking about the fight that was coming up. And I was telling her, to be honest, even though the fight's in 2 days, I feel like I'm not fighting. And even in the back room, like, or even on my way to the venue on the day of the fight, I still felt like I wasn't fighting. And I think it's just being more comfortable, like comfortable because I put in the work and comfortable because I've been here before.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that all makes sense, man. And it showed in the fight. I mean, a clean 30-27 victory, man. And then the other thing that really stuck out to me too was very rarely did you get put in a bad position. I think once in that third round where your opponent got on top of you, but instantly you turned it around. That also credited to your training partners, or is that what's like just fundamentals and just from experience again?
Yeah, a lot of it goes to my training partners, but not just from, the 6 week camp. It all ties back to when I first started training. Like every day I'm always in a bad position, and every day that I work in that bad position, I'm getting better. And, like throughout the fight, yeah, 30-27 decision, it was dominant. He never really had anything for me. I didn't even really get touched.
Mm.
And yeah, he's a tough guy. He was coming off a 30-second knockout over another undefeated prospect, but then again, like he had nothing for me on the feet, nothing for me on the ground.
Yeah, it definitely showed. And then one last thing about that fight, man. Going into that third round, did you know you were up 2-0?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
I was beating him on the feet, beating him on the ground, and yeah, I knew he there's no way he was gonna beat me. Yeah, in a million tries, he would have never came
Yeah,
out with the dub.
it definitely showed. And the reason I asked that is because in that third round, you came out hot. You backed him up to the cage. It looked like you hurt him. He was kind of a little unorthodox, so I couldn't tell if he was trying to protect himself, but you definitely had him in trouble. Instantly got the takedown. So you were still looking for a finish, even though you knew you were up 2-0. And that's rare sometimes, man. A lot of guys like to take their foot off the brake, and you did not. So kudos to you, man. You know what the fans want to see.
Absolutely. And so with that third round being up 2-0, or 2 rounds to nothing, I remember I rocked him with that overhand right, and I even saw his eyes rolled back.
Yeah.
But the thing whenever you're inside the cage, a lot of times things just happens subconsciously, right? So my body automatically shot for the takedown because I knew he wasn't able to stop my wrestling. And if I played on the feet a little bit longer, I probably would have knocked him out cold because
Yeah.
again, I saw his eyes rolled back, but He couldn't stop the takedown, couldn't stop me on the ground, and so we just went back to it.
Yeah, but again, congrats on that. That was a beautiful victory for you. You looked amazing. What was your first art to start growing up or in your childhood? Like, did you wrestle, jujitsu? The grappling, I mean, is outstanding. So I'm assuming it's one of those, but did you do boxing, Muay Thai, anything like that growing up?
Yeah, so my first actual martial art that I've actually started training in was jujitsu.
Hmm.
So back then we always used to like to spar. So we go to the park, go inside my garage, get boxing gloves, and then we just spar with pretty much not really knowing anything other than, try to punch and kick each other. So when I was a sophomore in high school, my brother at the time, he was already fighting. And
Okay.
so one day he invited me to the gym, and that's when I first started training. I was training over at um, 86 BJJ over in Hawaii under Paul Ano, still one of the best coaches that I've worked with in jiu-jitsu. Phenomenal coach. But anyways, that started back when I was a sophomore in high school. The following year, I started wrestling,
Okay.
and then wrestled in college for a little bit. In 2015, that's when I made the switch over to MMA.
Mhm.
Now, the funny thing is, when I turned pro, I was pretty much just standing and banging with everybody and had a few knockouts, but I love playing on the feet. Even to this day, I love playing on the feet. And no one really knew that I have, grappling background because I mean, that's my original form of martial art.
Mhm.
So I always have that in my back pocket, but obviously, I'm always down to bang.
Yeah, no, it shows in your fights because even your feints when you were dropping down low, coming back up top, like you were getting your opponent to drop his hands. So it shows that the grappling is well respected and the experience there that you have. And then coming into the going pro, I mean, you're undefeated, and then I believe it was like 2022, you had a little I believe it was like a 2 year delay. Was that due to injuries or was that due to personal issues or?
Yeah, it was due to injuries. So unfortunately,
Uh,
yeah, I had some pretty severe injuries that I've been dealing with for several years, and 20, I had a fight October 2022, and then January 2023 is when I decided, yo, if I want to do this, I gotta take care of my body. Longevity is really important. At some point, I want kids, So like, I
yeah,
know MMA, it's pretty much my main focus right now, but at some point, I know I'm not gonna be able to throw on gloves and walk into a cage and fight someone, just
yeah.
because it's in all actuality, it's a young man's sport.
Mm,
And at some point, when I do have kids, I want to be able to run around with them.
mm,
And, like that starts off with taking care of the body, getting my oil changes, getting my tires rotated. And anytime we get into an accident or a big severe injury, we got to get that addressed.
yeah, definitely good. It's good that you took care of it because I know on the regional scene, man, that can kill a lot of guys taking a 2 year layoff. Did you have any worries about that? I mean, obviously it's in the past now. You came back better than ever. You're still undefeated. You're still one of the hottest prospects in the UFC right now on the regional scene or in MMA. I'm sorry, I might have said UFC, but still one of the hottest prospects in MMA right now. Did you have any fears during that time?
Of course, and like just to think about it, I went from training 6 days a week, most days twice a day, to not training at all.
Yeah.
And all 2023, I pretty much took the entire year off. I didn't really train at all 2023 other than in January just because I started getting surgeries.
Mhm.
So my first training session back into um fighting was, I think it was something like March 2024. So
Okay.
all 2023 I took off, and during that time obviously a lot of sleepless nights,
Yeah.
just because of the drastic change in my life from training, 6 days a week to just sitting on my couch watching MMA.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was definitely in a dark spot.
Yeah. Well, you rebounded very goodly, brother, because you came out of a cannon. I think you won what, 4 fights since then? What-
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been about 4 fights. So my
Yeah.
first fight back October 2024, and yeah, I've had 4 fights since.
So I mean, a lot of guys could look at you and as a huge inspiration because it's not often you do see a guy in the regional scene take that much of a layoff and come back how you did. So it's very inspirational. I hope a lot of guys can see that and continue how you did. So ultimately, like I said, you're one of the hottest on the regional scene right now. Is the UFC the ultimate goal as of right now? Or, I mean, we're seeing a lot of promotions paying guys right now other than the UFC. And that's not what it used to be in the past. You got this MVP card coming up on Netflix. They're paying a lot of guys. You've seen another flyweight like yourself in Muhammad Mukayev who left the UFC and he's doing great right now. Is the UFC the ultimate goal, or or are you willing to get paid by no matter whether it's PFL, a one championship, someone like that?
Yeah, so let me tell you this, UFC is not the ultimate goal.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is obviously want to be in the UFC, but the ultimate goal is being champion in the UFC
Mhm.
and defending my title. Getting into the UFC is a milestone, you know?
Mhm.
So like once I get signed to the UFC, it's going to be a huge accomplishment. Definitely going to celebrate
Yeah.
with the family, friends, and everyone that supports me. But we're just, a step closer to the ultimate goal, which is being UFC champion and defending the title. Now, when it comes to, let's say Jake Paul were to give me a call right after this podcast, and he was like, "Yo, Christian, I need a guy to fight so and so, 125. We'll pay you buku dollars."
Mhm.
You know, money is nice and all, but like, well, actuality, if I wanted to get paid doing something, I don't think fighting would be the way for me. Like
Okay.
obviously money is important because you got to keep the lights on somehow, but at the end of the day, like I fight because I enjoy doing it. And I still have a full-time job. I work for A1 Garage, one of the best companies I've worked for. They're super flexible with like me still being a part of the company, having a huge important role for A1 Garage, but they allow me to chase my goals outside of the company. So really, really fortunate for them.
Awesome. That's great to hear, man, because a lot of company it's hard to find good companies that people like, especially in a corporate world today, man. So I'm happy you have that going on for you. I really am. Because like I said, it's just not every day where companies are willing to let guys potentially build another career in another situation. Like I know pro fighting, it's completely different, but it is
Mhm,
still nice to have that flexibility, like you said. So another
mhm.
thing, I always want to ask this to a professional fighter. How do you make that switch in your head when you get locked in an octagon? Or even is there even a switch? Are you just because you've been doing it for so long, is it just part of your life? But I just always recall a Daniel Cormier video when he says when you're fighting, you're wired differently. And I truly think when you play a game of punch face for a living, you have to be wired differently. So do you make a switch at all, or is it just natural to you?
100%, dude. So let me tell you this right now. So, like we're talking about, I'm here in Utah right now. I'm here with a few friends, and they just do jujitsu.
Mm-hmm.
They've never fought before, and I actually get asked this really often. Being working in corporate, and then also just yesterday they're talking to me about it, and other people ask me too because if you talk to me outside of fighting, I'm I feel like I'm pretty chill guy, like especially
Yeah.
coming from Hawaii, I feel like I'm pretty laid back, pretty easygoing. But when I go inside the cage, I come in with authority and I try to hurt someone.
Mhm.
Let me tell you this, I hate blood, dude. I hate blood. I hate seeing people, get hurt. When people are in arm bars or heel hooks, I can barely watch that stuff.
Mhm.
But when I'm inside the cage, without a doubt, any second I would snap someone's arm, I would rip their knees out with a heel hook or try to knock them out cold. And I think that switch comes in naturally.
Mhm.
Originally, back when I was younger, I was pretty violent, growing up. I wasn't like a hot-headed kid, but I did like and enjoy violence. I loved WWE growing up. And I think it's just an opportunity for me to, really express my true natural art, just being able to really let go and, you know, perform in front of thousands of people what I'm doing on a daily basis, which is training.
Yeah, no, the violence definitely shows in the cage when you fight. Don't take that. Don't. I don't know if you took that question the wrong way or not, but the violence shows. The violence shows for sure. I just want to know if it came naturally or not. So that's
Mhm.
that's awesome. And then earlier, kind of jumping around here, but when we were talking about your ultimate goal as UFC champion and all that, to get inside to the UFC, would you be willing to take a short notice fight, or would you rather have a full camp? Obviously, you would rather have a full camp, but more so, say if one of the guys called you up and like, hey, we need a guy in 2 weeks, or even possibly less. Like, would you be willing to do that, or would you rather have a full camp, or even take the Dana White Contender Series route, or even the Ultimate Fighter route?
If you had a connection to the UFC and they told you, hey, what's up, man? I need a guy in 12 hours.
Mm,
Do you know anyone? You could call me and I'll be there. So
mm,
to give you a quick story, I actually did have
mm.
a short notice opportunity, and it was a 12-hour notice. I accepted and everything.
Oh
Long
wow.
story short, it didn't go through entirely,
Hmm.
or obviously it didn't go through at all.
Hmm.
And it was pretty unfortunate because I did have that quick short notice opportunity.
Hmm.
But what I did take from that is I'm on the radar.
Hmm.
They know I'm game. They know if they need someone, even if it's 12 hours, they know who to call, which is me.
Yeah, no, that's honestly amazing to hear. I was about to say that before you did. Like, you're on the radar, clearly. I mean, how could you not be at the level you're at right now? And yeah, it's amazing to hear that because I truly do think with your skill set, your durability, your stamina, you have all the tools to be in the UFC. And right now in the UFC, out of the UFC flyweights, do you have a preferred matchup for your first fight, or is it just whoever they give you?
I say it's whoever they give me. I'm not picky, especially like in my position. If
Mhm.
there's a short notice opportunity against someone that's tough,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm a pretty tough guy too, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would give that guy a run for his money.
No, for sure. I mean, you're definitely a hard tool to figure out. I mean, like you said, you like to stand and bang, you got the grappling. The chin has been yet to been tested, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
don't remember a fight that you were really hurt in, unless you can make a recall to one, but the durability's there, everything's there, it looks like. So I know for sure whoever your first opponent will be, it's going to be a tough night for them for sure. And then yeah, so going back to what you said, growing up you liked WWE. I'm actually a WWE fan myself. I always see kind of UFC or MMA fighters in general just try to build up a personality now, especially in today's world with they want the clips on social media, they want the followers and all. Obviously, I'm not a fighter, right? But I would like to think I could be someone's like Paul Heyman.
Mhm.
What do you did you ever have that thought like get a manager and just have him talk shit the whole time for you or
Yeah, so I actually had this guy. We call him Captain, but if it, oh, most guys who are a big fan of MMA, they know who this guy is. Which it's the guy that wears the white glasses. He's always with Henry Cejudo, about Henry Cejudo's
okay.
size. His name is Eric, but we call him Captain. So I remember back in 2021, we were talking, and then he said, "Christian, what you need to do, man, is you got to start working out those Twitter fingers." I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you got to start talking shit. You got to be like Conor McGregor. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to make fans want to watch you. And, I thought about it for a little bit because, Conor McGregor is obviously one of the biggest, in my opinion, I think he's the biggest name in MMA UFC history. And, I definitely would love to have that exposure, but everyone is different, you know.
Mhm. No, for sure.
I say this all the time. Like Conor McGregor is Conor McGregor because he is Conor McGregor.
Mhm.
If I try to act like Conor McGregor, it would not look well. And I think for me myself, I just got to be genuine. I just got to show up, train hard, be my own character, and
Mhm.
the fans they'll come. They'll follow. Especially since I got Hawaii behind me, I
Mhm.
got the Philippines behind me. I got a whole group of people backing me. So I'm pretty sure once I get to the UFC, I'll have a big crowd behind me supporting me.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is huge to have a whole what's that, a state in Hawaii behind you, man. And that's another question I had for you. Do you travel back and forth? Because that's a pretty long flight. Like, are you back and forth, or are you just strictly in? I believe you're in Utah. You said right now. I don't know if that's where you stay out of, but are you strictly there? Or are you back and forth in Hawaii?
So I live in Arizona right now,
Okay.
but I barely go back
Mhm.
to Hawaii, which is it's my fault. I'm just so tunnel vision with working my full-time job and
Mhm.
also training. And so like I'm just thinking about getting paid and
Mhm.
training hard. And you know you're never gonna get time back. So I definitely got to take more time to go back, visit family, visit my friends over there, visit my home gym at A6BJJ. But uh, we'll see what happens. Me and my fiance, we are talking about making a trip back to Hawaii sometime this year, probably in December.
Not, hey man, that's they understand, man, especially if they truly are your real family and your real friends growing up, your brothers and all that. Like they understand. You ever hear there's a Denzel Curry, I don't know if you're in the rap, but there's a Denzel Curry song. He says, "You leave the cul-de-sac, your brother's gonna have your back regardless." So I'm 100% sure with you. If they're real, they're gonna have your back no matter where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I still have friends like back at home that I talk to on a regular basis and always checking up on me. And I mean, what I love about it is um for the people that are tight with me, like even though a lot has changed since, I was back in high school to where I am now, they still treat me the same.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people who treated me differently because, now I'm on a trajectory to getting to the UFC. They want to be buddy buddy, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like, I mean, I know they're showing support, whether you love me or hate me, you know, everyone that tunes in is, plays a big role because that's just more eyes.
No, definitely. Listen, man, all the more the merrier, right? You want all that exposure you can get. And then lastly, for what I have, outside of MMA, what do you have any hobbies or just what do you do in your free time? I know I'm sure it takes up a lot of your time, MMA in general, with the training and all that. But when you have free time, are you a video game guy? You like watching TV, like playing sports?
I love to eat, baby.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you this, I could probably eat more than a lot of heavyweights, even though I'm a flyweight. I have a big belly, dude. Like I could just keep eating. I could throw down some food. But other than eating, I'd say one thing I love to do is just be outdoors. Obviously, I'm in Utah right now. I'm outdoors. You can't really see the background because I have it blurred, but
Yeah.
it's beautiful over here. We're super remote. There's no one like close to us. Probably like within a 2 mile radius, there's probably like maybe less than 10 people
Oh,
from
wow.
where I'm at. Again, dude, it's in the middle of nowhere. Just like being in nature, going camping, going to cabins, being in the water, and anything outdoors I enjoy doing.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And the food thing's pretty funny because that is how tough is that weight cut then?
It it it's tough because I love to eat, right? But
Yeah.
as far as losing the weight, if like going back to what we're talking about, if they called me, let's say today and then they need a guy for next week, I'll do my best to make 25 and I'll get pretty close making it there. I know I can make 130 for sure,
Mm.
but it's just the fact that, I love to eat and knowing that I have to restrict my calories makes the weight cut even harder.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, it doesn't show. Like you see some guys, they looked really drained, but I mean, you still look healthy when you're fighting, so it doesn't show. So that's good.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then what
when preparation, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, what would be your favorite thing to eat? Are you a savory guy, a sweet guy, or just anything?
Mm. I like them all. It depends on the day, but um, dude, I do have a sweet tooth and I do love salty, savory foods. Dude, all you gotta do is put a plate in front of me, throw some food on there. I could be blindfolded and I'll eat it all, dude. I just love food.
Yeah, that's
Any kind
all.
of food.
Yeah. Well, Easter's tomorrow. I don't know if do you celebrate?
I do, but since
Huh.
I'm here in Utah, we're actually driving back to Arizona tomorrow. So for most of my Easter, we'll be on the road.
Uh,
But yeah, so nothing big planned.
I was gonna say, you're gonna eat a whole ham to yourself, some
Oh,
pineapple stuffing, some macaroni and cheese.
dude, I don't need Easter to do that. I'll do that on a random day.
Man, that's awesome, man. Well, is there anything else you want to bring up, mention? You want to plug anything?
Ah, let me see. Not really too much. I'm just continuing to train, continuing to work. I know, like, I just got to keep showing up to the gym and keep showing up to these fights, and sooner or later the UFC is gonna call me. I'm pretty sure after this last win, being the headliner,
Mhm.
beating another tough prospect,
Mhm.
I'm right at the doorstep of the UFC. So I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC gives me a call sometime soon.
I like I said before, man, you have all the tools. You got the durability, you got the jujitsu, the wrestling, the striking is there, the power's there. You have it all, man. And I was gonna say in the outro, man, I can't believe they haven't. Well, apparently they did that you mentioned in this video. So you're on the radar, right? The contender series, Dana White contender series is coming up. That's a path. Like you said, you're always ready. So if they need you on the fly, you're ready. And I'm not. If I'm a betting man, right? I'm Tarp Sports. That's what I really got a following of was my sports betting. That I would bet that you're in the UFC and within the year or even less, you know. So you all the tools are there, man. It's really good to see. It's really good, and I'm very happy to hear that you are on the radar and that you did actually have an opportunity for a short notice fight.
Absolutely, man. I mean, only time will tell, and I'm pretty sure that time is going to be this year.
Awesome, man. I listen, well, I really appreciate you doing this. You have a fan for life in Tarp Sports, and it is much appreciated. You didn't have to do this. You took the time. We were kind of very flexible with the time today, and I'm happy you got to work this in. I had a much fun interviewing you. I hope you could say the same, man. Christian Natividad, right? That's how you pronounce
Yep,
Natividad.
yep, yep,
Ah,
yep,
good. Listen,
yep.
all my followers know me. I'm bad
Mhm.
at names, right? So thank you for doing this, man. It is much appreciated. I truly want you to know that. I'm not just saying that, but I have nothing. I wish nothing but success for you, man. And like I said, you have a fan for life.
I appreciate that, man. Like, honestly, like the pleasure's mine, dude. I appreciate you for thinking about me, asking me to be on your podcast, and dude, I had such a fun time like chatting with you, and I hope we could do it again sometime soon.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Next time you get a fight, or next time, maybe in a couple months, we'll see what happens. But you're definitely going to be back on. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, brother. Thank you for doing it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. If you want to follow my friend Christian Natividad's journey, I'm gonna plug in his social medias. I'm gonna plug in his most recent LFA fight. Watch that fight. He does in the first round, the ground and pound was nasty. Second round, man, he did his best prime Aljamain Sterling impression, just backpacked, man, and working submissions in that third round up 2-0. He did not stop looking for a finish. So he's a very entertaining fighter. He's going to be in the UFC very soon. Mark my words. Thank you for tuning in.
Appreciate you guys.